Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Boss Talks. I'm Christine Drummond and I'm here with my co-host Joel Lord, and we have a cracker of a podcast here for you today. I know you've loved the ones that we've done in the past, but I think today is going to top it all because we're going to talk about consistency. And what we ask you guys, and I know that you regular listeners are probably getting sick of us telling you what our fee is every week on every podcast, but we just need the message to get out there that we have poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into personal development over the years. We've had money coaches, life coaches, lifestyle coaches, and what we've learned, we kind of like regurgitating back to you guys for free. So there is no monetary fee for this podcast, but what we do want you to do is, if you get value, we would absolutely love you to share it on. We'd love you to pass it on, do some posts around it, leave us a review, or even, send in some questions or topics that you would love us to cover. So that's the fee. Now, as I said before, we're talking about consistency today, and I did a little bit of research. I opened the dictionary. Well, I didn't open it. I Googled it. Let's be honest. No one has a dictionary these days, do they? Hard copy. But consistency is consistent behavior or treatment. That's the definition. So consistency is consistent behavior or treatment. So you can have positive, empowering consistency, which helps you grow, or you can have, you can be negatively consistent in disempowering ways that help you dissolve. So someone who is consistent always behaves in the same way. They've got the same attitudes towards the same people, the same things, and they achieve the same level of success in something. And if one fact or idea is consistent with another, they do not contradict each other. So consistency, like I feel, Joel, a lot of people say, consistency is the key to success. But I kind of disagree a little bit. Yes, you have to be consistent, but you have to be consistent and also go for that never-ending improvement as well. So there's no point just being consistent across the board, because you're never going to grow your level of success. You're never going to grow your check. Yes, there's some daily activities that you want to be consistent with, but in order to grow your wealth, in order to grow your business or whatever it is, I think you need to have some strategies in there that also help you improve along the way. So what are your thoughts on that, Joel?
Absolutely. Look, you're being consistent in your life, whether you know it or not. Like, your habits will create what it is that you have in your life. So if you're consistently eating McDonald's or you're consistently smoking cigarettes, you're going to have there's future disaster for you. There really just is. I was already off on a tangent, but I was driving the kids to school this morning, and I noticed that there was someone, probably in their 30s, and they were smoking. And I was like, this is 2020, nearly. Like, we're nearly in 2020. Like, stop smoking. The cost is too high. The cost is too high for them, the kids, the health system. But they're consistently doing it, and it's just you're going to get results from it one way or another. So I 100% back you on the whole, you can't be consistent with the shitty things. Like, you got to point your consistency to things that are going to improve your life. So what I've known in business, and you'd be the same, you've been 7 years in your health and wellness business, it's the ones that are consistently doing the daily tasks that, let's be honest, we can say all that we want to say, but they can be quite boring. It's the mundane tasks of following up, doing all those kind of things. Like, for me, when I was in the supermarkets, it was consistently having to put the bread on the shelf, consistently having to put the order away on certain days, consistently having to count registers of a night, lock up, do milk orders, do all that kind of stuff that, is totally against what is sold online, the whole crazy. It's always fun doing what you love all the time, all this stuff, you know, it's not real. The gurus won't tell you this, but it's what you do it's the consistent application of sometimes the mundane tasks that get you this business success, you know, like how many people do you reckon you have a conversation with every year just in your business? Like you probably wouldn't be able to work it out. It'd be
thousands.
Thousands,
because if you look at my Facebook, I've got about 1,800 friends, and I'm one of those people that I try and get to know every single one of those Facebook friends. So I'm having conversations, like sometimes it's up to 70 conversations a day.
Yeah.
You know?
So do you just do that once or twice a month, or do you do that every day?
Every day I'm having conversations.
Every day. So that I bet you there's like every 365 days a year, you're just every single one of those days, you're absolutely looking forward to having 70 conversations.
Yeah, especially Christmas Day.
But you do it, right? You do it. And that's what's created your success. And so like, it's just a really like proof in the pudding, you know? So you're consistent in that. So you've had success. You've consistently done the right things and it's created success. Like if you consistently save your money and invest your money well, you will be wealthy. If you consistently eat healthy foods and juice and detox your body, you will be healthy. If you consistently read books that like add to your life, not books that take away, but if you consistently read Think and Grow Rich and books like that, your mind's going to get better. So that's my belief. You just got to show up every day, whether you feel like it or not.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go back to the health thing for a minute, because a lot of people think that, you know, even someone said to me the other day, Christine, you must find it so easy to exercise. And I'm like, well, no, I don't. I've still got to motivate myself to get my butt out the door and do something physically active. But it comes down to consistency. You get success from consistency because consistency leads to habits, and those habits form the actions that we take every day. And then it's that action that leads to the success. So for me, with my health and fitness, for the last 10 years, I've been consistently eating well 80% of the time, which means that I don't have to give anything up in my diet. If I want to eat pizza like once a month, I can have it. If I want to eat chocolate, I can have it. If I want to have an ice cream now and then, I can have it and not feel guilty, not feel like I have to now go and flog myself in the gym. So if you're inconsistent, well, if you're consistent with poor habits, habits that aren't serving you, habits that are feeding you the wrong foods, then of course you're going to have poor results and you're going to have poor health and you're probably going to have poor levels of energy. So you've got to go, okay, well, consistency is a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing if you're not using it in your favor, if you're not using it to build on your skills, on your competence, to turn those, to turn that consistency into better habits. And once, like for those people that are trying to lose weight or that want to get fitter, it's really hard. It's so hard just to even take that first step. But once you get down to your ideal weight, once you get down to that maintenance level, it is so much easier to live life. It really is. In the beginning, you have to be so much stricter on what you're putting in your body, how you're moving, all those kind of things. But when you get to the maintenance, which is where I'm at, I'm not here to lose any more weight. I'm perfectly happy with where my body shape and everything is at. So I'm at the maintenance stage and like I'm pretty much cruising. Like I don't have to work too hard in the gym and I don't have to go every day, you know, but it's those small mundane things like today, having a snack of a carrot, a banana and a mandarin rather than a packet of chips, rather than a chocolate bar. Yes, it's mundane. Yes, it's boring. Fruits and veggies are not sexy. We get it. But I know when I feel fit and healthy and energized, I turn up differently to the world. I'm a better person, I'm a better coach, I'm a better mother, I'm a better friend, because I've got the energy and the vitality to give my presence, my time, my energy, effort, everything to serve others. Okay. So I know how eating well makes me feel, and I know how poor eating makes me feel, and excessive drinking and things like that. So it's all about choices as well. We have to start forming new habits. And a book that I'm reading at the moment, Joel, called The 5-Second Rule with Mel Robbins, you know, she can turn people's habits and consistency around just by counting backwards from 5 to 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You open the fridge, you look in there, you're about to grab the most unhealthy thing that's in there, and you just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you grab a carrot instead. And it's as quick as that. Before the self-talk comes in, before the doubt, before the negative thoughts come in, the self-hatred, you know, you count down and you make a better choice in that 5-second moment. And if you do that, it compounds. It just keeps building and building, and you set yourself up for these little wins throughout the day. And then you start getting consistent with your eating, with your habits, and with those actions that build that success.
So I have a belief, like something that you mentioned, one word there was like, you know, losing weight is hard. And there's a lot of things out there, like building businesses, you know, being consistent at times can be hard. Like there's been a recent, probably in the last 2 months, both of us have had, you know, have found it challenging to show up consistently. Like I've really, you know, had to dig deep to show up the way I have over the last couple of months. And there's been times for you as well. And, you know, I look at the great people that I follow, and people will say, oh, how do you stay full of energy? How do you always be, show up for your business? How do you always seem to be you know what I mean? And like one of the people that I follow actually replied back to them and said, I don't feel awesome all the time. I don't feel like I'm full of energy. I don't feel like all the things that you say, like, but I'm showing up anyway. I'm consistently showing up because the fear of me missing out on the opportunity is greater than my will, like my wish to go to bed and or rest or come up with an excuse or something like that, you know. So that was massive for me. But, you know, why do you think people allow their consistency to go away due to, is it just an excuse because something's got hard, or is it the boredom, or like, what do you think, and how would you overcome that?
Yeah, I think people start attaching negative emotions to it, and it holds them back. So as soon as something gets hard, they quit. You know, they quit on themselves, they quit on their families, they quit on their friends, their community. You know, they give up in society. Like I was a Zumba instructor a few years ago, and I used to go into schools, and, you know, the kids could do a Zumba class with me for sport. Now, back in the day, I sound like I'm like 60, 70 years old. But when we grew up with sport, like sometimes you weren't allowed off the field. Like you had to run your butt off for like an hour and a half. But when I was doing these Zumba classes, we'd get through one song and the girls would be like, Miss, can we take a break? You know, and I'm like, come on, where's your ticker? You know? So I think in society today, we're kind of shaped to fail. We're shaped to give up, you know, and there's only a few of us out there that are backing ourselves, that are going against the tide, that are saying, you know what, I don't want to be a sheeple. I've given up in the past. It didn't feel good. I want to see what happens if I don't quit, you know, and we're the ones that are the world changers. We're the ones that are raising the consciousness of the generations to follow. And it's through that example that I feel like we're going to help raise the vibration of the planet if we all keep moving forward with these consistent little activities. Now, as Joel said before, yep, some of them are mundane, some of them are very boring. I'm a person of variety. I love variety. So what I do is I get the mundane things, the income producing activities and everything out of the way, so then I can unleash my creativity side. So then I can do what brings joy to my soul, you know. And I think that's what people are getting caught up with, is they're getting caught up with the rat race of life. They're getting caught up with the monotony of life. and they don't know what else exists because they're not open to it. They're so closed off. You know, I look at it like, you know, in our business, we love to collect friends. So, you know, you add Facebook friends all the time, and I might send a few messages and people never respond to the message. And I'm like, well, why would you accept someone's friend request if you're never going to respond to that person? And then I feel really sorry for them, because I feel like, you know what, you're missing out on an opportunity to connect with someone as awesome as I am, and you're not even willing to have a conversation. So I use Facebook like as if I'm at a bar, as if I'm meeting someone for the first time. So I love to compliment people. I love to add value and all that kind of thing. So, you know, I find it quite bizarre that people don't respond, you know, in the Facebook world, because it's, you called Facebook friends for a reason. And I love collecting friends. I love to see how I can serve someone, how I can add value. So that's another thing. But I've got that famous quote, Joel, that Albert Einstein said, and it's the definition of sanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Now, we all know that saying, right? But what if we put a different spin on it and said, well, that was actually how you define success. You know, it's doing the same thing over and over, that consistency, right? But then putting another spin on and going, what if we added in while we were improving on it? So doing the mundane, doing the same thing over and over again, getting the consistency, but also while we're improving on it. And I think that's where some people go wrong, mate. I think that people stop improving themselves. Have a think about the first time you met your partner, or when you were going out on the dating scene and you used to take care of yourself. You were fit, you were healthy, you showed up as your best version. And then all of a sudden, like years down the track, you get married and you think, oh, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't have to try and attract anyone more. I've got my partner for the rest of my life. And then all of a sudden the weight starts creeping on. You start letting go of the values, you know, the things that lit you up. You stop doing the things that used to bring you joy. And now you and your partner basically become the same person. You lower your standards to match theirs, or you both stop trying. And that's when the relationship, the fire in the relationship starts to fizzle out. So this is where I see consistent habits going the wrong way, you know. And I don't know about you, Joel, but I see that quite a bit. And then the financial pressure and everything else comes in onto those relationships. And then now we've got like a 50 to 60% divorce rate out there. So I don't know. What are your thoughts around that?
Well, I think it's crazy. And you know, it's just about becoming aware of things, you know, being, you know, a visionary, and really just taking a step back and noticing what's happening in your life when it comes to your relationship. Like, where is it at? You know, are you willing to have that hard conversation? Are you willing to pick the phone up and say, hey, listen, this is what I want in the next 10 years. Are you coming with me? This is what I want to better myself. Help me, you know, and that's where the excitement comes back into it. So like, I'm 100% with you. And, you know, I think a killer in people's success is that they pat themselves on the back way too early. Now, you know me, I'm totally for celebrating everything that you do approximately right. Although the caveat is, like, celebrate that you've done it and consistently keep doing it. So don't like how many people did you see in the personal training sector and in, you know, people in business that, you know, do 2 weeks of really great exercise, really great, you know, eating. And then they think, well, I've been good for 2 weeks. You know, I can have that Friday night booze up or that pub lunch or whatever. And they've still got another 10 kilos to go. You know, like, it's like something that really came through when I did the 75 hard was that, guess what? Until you get your goal, you have not earned carrot cake. You have not earned jack shit. So get up there and get out there, get going, and, you know, like, and do the hard things. Like, you know, I was doing the 75 hard when we were in America. And, you know, we had a conference that was going all day. We had things to do, and we still had to find, and you know, here's another great secret. Find a friend that's going to help you support your goals. Like Christine was there and she ran me up bloody stairs and then she left town and I couldn't walk for weeks. But anyway, had we gone for a walk around the block, I wouldn't remember it and I wouldn't have been as proud as I was as running up stairs for 45 freaking minutes. It's crazy, right? That was insane. And, you know, yeah, that it's just stop patting yourself on the back so early. Keep going. It's called the fortune's in the follow through. So it means follow through to the finish line and then keep going. Don't pat yourself on the back. Like you're not running a 100-meter sprint, you run 110 meters. Unless you're Usain Bolt, but you know, everyone else has to run 110 meters. Don't start celebrating at the 50-meter mark just because you've won to there. Doesn't mean you've got the gold medal. So that's what I think. People just want to shy away from the hard stuff, and you know, being consistent can be hard. You know, eating healthy can be hard. Like leaving loser friends can be hard. You know, you've got to consistently be up leveling yourself. But you know, something that I love, Christine, like, and you can jump in any time now with an opinion, but like, I really think that people are frightened of change. I think as they start to build their lives up, I think they're frightened of change, and I think it's really easy to either pat yourself on the back or come up with some excuse of why you can't do it. You know, like I've coached a lot of people, and something that I see often, and it's my job as a coach to pull people up on it, is like, when they set goals and they start working and they either pat themselves on the back or whatever, they have these big dreams. And then there's this like mechanism in their mind where they just come up with an excuse. And I think Ed Milet says it great, really well. Like, what is what's the price tag you have on your dream? And like, are you for sale? Like, are you a sellout? So, you know, you and I, we're creating multiple businesses and we've got targets on them, like targets that we want to reach. We've got impact that we want to create. You know, question for us, like, is that for sale? You know, is there a bad day that we can have where we don't get out of bed because, and you know, or do we get a headache, or do we, you know, like, where people can just make an excuse anytime. Oh, look, I was going to do those videos that day, but my dog needed to go to the vet, or you know, I got a call from so and so, and I had to go see my mum, or I don't know. Like I don't want to like pick examples, but you know what I mean. Like people say, "Oh, well, I'll do that later," blah blah blah. You know, and it's just complete bullshit. It's like Gunner is the most dangerous and lethal gun on the planet. It's killed more dreams than any other weapon on the planet. Like, so the Gunner gun is the most, and I 100% believe that. So yeah.
I love that. The gun. I'm gonna. I love that. And I heard Michelle Phan say recently that, you know, it's so easy to make a viral video these days, but to have the longevity and consistency, that's hard. You know, we have all these one-hit wonders and all these people that, you know, get Insta famous quickly, but it's short-lived, you know, because it's not consistent, it's not sustainable. And I think that's what people are missing. You know, we're in a profession outside of our coaching business where we see quitters all the time. You know, they give up right before their first big paycheck, or they give up when it just starts getting a little bit hard, when people start to really, you know, they have that fear of judgment. What will people think of me if I keep going, or if I change, or, you know, will I outgrow my partner? And it all just gets too fearful for people. So they stop and they give up on their dreams before they've even learned one skill, you know, to be able to help them in their business. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, yeah, I've quit on myself quite a bit over time, then today we're giving you permission to start thinking differently. Start setting yourself up for little wins. Start having a little morning routine that helps put you in a peak resourceful state, a success state, a state where you've had a couple of little wins. And it might be that you wake up and you do 5 minutes of meditation. Then you might jump around for 5 minutes doing some push-ups or jumping jacks. Then you might, put on a podcast or do some self-development or read a book that's fueling your mind with the right information. And then you might jump in the shower, and at the end of the shower, you might turn it cold and have a beautiful cold awakening to your system. What's a little morning ritual that you can do that's going to help set you up for the day? And something that I recently came up with, which is kind of based on the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule, the 5-second rule, is what I call the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 run. Now, I love running, but I don't love doing it all the time. And I went off exercise for a couple of months in the middle of the year this year. And to get me back into it, I thought, you know what, just get out there and just do one block. Just run one block. Don't do any more than that. Just get out there today, set yourself up for a win, and just run a block. Run around the block once, okay? And then the next day I said, okay, build on it. Let's go for 2 laps today. 2 laps of the block today, okay? And then the next day I build on it until I got to 5. And then when I got to 5, I did 5 again, and I worked back down to 1. So you're kind of building your way up. And then the next week it was like, okay, you get to 5, and then I might go to 10. So the next day I'll do 6, the next day I'll do 7. But it's the 5-second rule. It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just get out there and do it. You know you're going to feel good. The endorphins are going to kick in afterwards, but it's got consistency. Now what I do today is 3 is my minimum. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just get out there and do a minimum of 3 laps. If you're time poor, minimum of 3 laps around the block and then come back. But 3 is my absolute minimum now. But every day, well, not every day, because some days I'm like, oh, I'm so pumped, I can't wait to get out there. And some days I'll alternate it. So I might do a boxing session or a weight session in between, or I might do my run in the morning, then do boxing or weights in the afternoon. But it's consistency. I very rarely go more than 3 days without doing some form of physical activity. Now, if you ask someone who is overweight, are they going to give you that same feedback? Probably not. They probably haven't done any physical activity for weeks or months, or maybe they've got an injury and they're using that as an excuse why they don't have to do the physical activity. Physical activity, I cannot tell you how important it is. Out in the fresh air, preferably, whether it's a walk or a run, but it's consistency, guys. And if you do that, you're consistently going to be able to reconnect with yourself, with the planet, with Earth, with Mother Nature. You're going to be able to reconnect with your thoughts. You're going to be able to clear your mind. And then you're going to have consistently more positive thoughts and more empowering thoughts. And then that's going to lead to a more consistent, positive life and a better quality of life. So it starts with these little habits. These little habits form, you build on them consistently, and then they become actions. And then from those actions, you get the results that you want. But don't bitch about the results that you don't get from the action and the activity that you're not taking. So many people out there is like, oh, it didn't work for me, or I quit and this didn't work and that didn't work, because you weren't consistent. You didn't put in the hard yards. You didn't keep going right when you needed to. You didn't break through, climb over that wall, that challenge. You didn't go through the growth. You didn't step over that comfort zone. That's why you're quitting. But if you had to just push that little bit more, if you had to just gone, you know what, I wonder what will happen on the other side of that comfort zone. I wonder what will happen if I'll face this fear and do it anyway. You've got to push through, guys. And you've got to consistently push through, because if you're not growing and evolving, you're dissolving, which means you're dying. And so many people are dying out there. So many people are dying at the age of 21. They're still walking around, but they're dead. Their dreams are dead. They've lost hope. They've lost faith. And if you go to a graveyard, if you go to a cemetery, you are walking over millions and billions and trillions of dollars of unfilled potential, of unfilled dreams, of innovations that never got going because the people quit, because they had disempowering thoughts, disempowering habits, and consistently disempowering behaviors.
Absolutely. And, exercise alone, let's be honest. If you go for a run, it gets the blood pumping, and that gets the oxygen moving around the body, which includes your brain, which most people probably don't breathe deep enough to actually feed enough oxygen to keep their brain cells alive anyway. I've seen research around that. You're actually breathing or not breathing yourself stupid. So, you know, I know I was injured, you know, and still am. And what I did is I decided, and I've never ever given, like I've never really rested for an injury. I've always just found a way to get around. I thought this time it was that bad. I needed to just give it like a couple of days, and a couple of days it just didn't get better. And I ended up leaving it for a couple of weeks. And like, honestly, that's probably one of the major reasons why I got, you know, I found it hard to continue to be consistent and be upbeat, you know? So no matter what, I am running every day. And, you know, yesterday I went out for a run, and then I got like picked the kids up from school, and Hano, my son, goes, "Hey, you want to go for a walk, Dad?" And I was like, "Well, I've already been for a run." And I just went, you know what, put the shoes on. Off I went back around, and it was really great to have the conversation with him, because some of this must be rubbing off onto him. He just said, because he's getting into a few arguments with teachers at the moment. So nothing like his dad. I was such a good boy, but anyway, he's so much better than me. I'm so happy. And he has discussions at school, and he wants more. You know, he wants more. And he says, "Dad, you know, the thing that I would regret is if I didn't have a real go and I ended up just driving a Daewoo, and I ended up with like a crappy car, and I ended up with a crappy house and a crappy life." And, you know, before you get the pitchforks out, it's not all about materialistic things. Although, if you feel like what's wrong with driving a BMW instead of a Daewoo, like, you know, God or the universe is equally in Gucci as they are in Kmart. You know, so let's be honest. Like, why not sit up the front of the plane? Why not go business class? Why not have a first class life? So I'm happy that he's starting to think like that. And, you know, that's coming from a 17-year-old, and from my 40-year-old self, I'm like, mate, I'm now future-proofing my life to the best of my ability. You know, you look at Sylvester Stallone, that guy is fit, and he's past 70. Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, there was a video of some guy trying to drop kick him from behind when he didn't even know, and Arnold didn't even move. Like, that guy's like, he's tough, right? Like, and it's because they've decided that how they're going to be at 70, 80, 90. And they decided when they were 40. I bet you those guys decided right back then. So, you know, I'm now choosing with my actions to walk, drink lots of water, juice, follow Christine's advice and eat 80-20. You know, don't miss out on anything, because what's the point? You got to live. But I'm choosing not only to set the example for my kids, but also, like, what sort of a 60-year-old do I want to be? What sort of a grandfather do I want to be? What sort of a great-grandfather do I want to be? And it's the decisions that I'm making now, you know, because you don't get sugar diabetes from drinking one can of Coke. You know, it's highly, highly unlikely. But consistently drinking Coke every day, it's going to rot your teeth. It's going to do all these things that, you know. And I know, like, Christine and I, like, for the listeners, we talk about health a lot, but that's because you can see it. When you talk about mindset, it's exactly the same. You know, if you're drinking the metaphorical equivalent of Coke, like, you're just letting junk in, like, all you do is watch TV, like, I don't know, what are those stupid reality TVs? You're watching that marriage one. There's a marriage one. Sorry, Americans. You don't know what I'm talking. You probably have them over there, or Housewives, or some bullshit like that. If that's what you're watching, you're eating junk food in your brain. You know, put it down, read a book, watch a documentary, educate yourself. You know, like, Bill Gates reads 15 books a week. Yeah, that guy is a beast. And when I saw him doing that, I went, oh, that's why I'm not worth $100 billion. I'm not doing what he's doing. He's consistently been reading all his life. I haven't read as much as him. I have not educated myself as much as him. I'm not honoring myself and giving myself a 7-day think week where I think about the big problems of the world and how I can solve them. So, as Christine said before, don't bitch because you don't have the results. for the work that you haven't done, you know? So for me, I've gone, okay, well, I want to get smarter. So I'm now reading books that I went down and saw what his 10 favorite books are doing, and I'm ticking them off. You know, I want to get better at business. So I'm reading like the Harvard Business Review. I'm switching my podcasts to get smarter in that area, you know? So what are you doing every day? I'm doing that every day. I'm exercising every day. I'm walking with the kids every day, you know, like that's why I've got to the level I'm at. But as Christine said, if I'm not constantly improving, I'm just going to plateau, and the world still grows past you. So you're actually going backwards if you actually think about it. So yeah.
I love that, mate. And it was interesting hearing someone say the other day that we should all be aiming to learn something new every day. Like whether it's a language or read a new book or study something that, you know, is totally different to what we're doing now, because that's what's going to help prevent a lot of disease in the future, you know, things like your Alzheimer's and your dementias and things like that. Like those diseases, they're not an age-related disease, you know, and I've done a lot of research into it because my dad has it, right? And there was things that I never saw my dad do. I never saw my dad grow and evolve, do personal development. I never saw him drink water. You know, there was so many things that you read about that contribute to Alzheimer's and dementia, and it's no wonder that he's got it, you know? So for me, it's like I'm taking the lesson, and we all have those people in our life that we've lost or that are going through some sort of hardship or health challenge. And if we don't start taking the lessons from those challenges, then we're never going to get it. And I have to be honest, it all just comes down to consistency. And if you want to have that longevity, if you want to have that vitality, I want to live a medication-free life. And it's possible. I've seen that it's possible. And I want to be like that. I want to still be jogging at the age of 80. And in order to do that, it's not what I do in 20 years' time. It's what I do today, consistently. And even if you don't have a business, you can still take this information that we've given you today and you can apply it to your work and moving up the ladder. You can apply it to being a mum. You can apply it to being, you know, whatever it is that you're doing out in life, your health, your fitness, you know, your self-development, you know, learning something new. Like just apply this consistent advice that we're giving you, this consistency, and just watch what happens. Watch what happens when you actually turn these habits into action, and then watch them become the success and the driving force for your success. And when we talk success, success is different for different people. You know, I'm definitely not at the level of success where I know I'm capable of being, but people would look at me and go, well, you're quite successful, but I'm definitely a long way off, you know. And it's the same for other people. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, people look at him and look at the success that he's had in his fitness career, but he's probably not where he wants to be either. You know, we're always striving for that constant and never ending improvement. And I think if you do that along with consistency, then you will have a better quality of life. You'll have a life of abundance, positivity, inspiration, and you'll be able to go out there and make a bigger impact. And that's what we want for you guys. That's what we want for our listeners, is for you guys to just show up as your best version, show up as your best self. Because when you do that, as you've heard me say it 1,000 times on the podcast, you raise the vibration. You raise your vibration, your family's vibration, your friend's vibration, and you raise the vibration of the planet. You know, but if we keep playing small, if we keep playing at this level of self-pity, if we keep, you know, empathizing with people all the time and letting them play small, we're actually doing them a disservice. We're doing ourselves a disservice. It would be quite easy for myself to just get off all social media and sit in my little pity party because my dad's going through such a challenging time with his health. I could do that, yeah. But that's not serving him. That's not allowing him to have the best quality of life possible for what time he's got left. It's not serving me. It's not serving my kids or anybody else in our family or our friends. So it's how you manage your state as well is just as important, but it's consistently showing up in a state. And there's times, and we've spoken about this, Joel, where you can be sad, and that's okay. And you can have your down days, and that's okay. But just don't let them start turning into habits. Just don't stay there, you know, and stop reliving your past, you know. And if you can be consistent in an empowering way, then you can pretty much go out there and achieve whatever it is that you want. So I think that's it from me, Joel.
Amazing. So that was brilliant. I'm glad you didn't drop the mic because I know they're expensive, but it deserved a mic drop. Listen, to the listeners out there, take this information and teach it to someone. This is gold. This is how you change the world. You must teach it, you know. So Christine and I are applying that. We like I don't care who you look at, Tony Robbins. I don't care if it's Brendan Burchard, Kirik Ashley, Scott DeMorland. None of this is new to them. They didn't create it. It's just part of the way that the universe works. So it's just more about remembering it and then helping other people remember it as well. So right now, that's what we're doing. We're helping you remember that this is what you're put here for. Like the 7-year-old, the 6 or 7-year-old that's just like full of life and just believes they can do anything. That's what it's all about. And take what you learn from these podcasts, or if you're coming from one of our groups or one of our programs that we've done, or our online coaching training. You know, if you're coming from there, like, teach that stuff. Don't hide it and keep it to yourself. Get out there and teach it, because that's how, you will learn it better. Like, I know just from doing our podcast, I know this stuff even better. And it just is part of my life. It's like infused in my DNA. It's just who I am now. So if you want that to happen, guess how you do it? It's called consistency. So with that, I'm going to drop the mic. Have a most outstanding day. We'll see you next week, and have a most outstanding day.
Damn. Yeah.